Hello everyone. So this video I thought that I would give you some ideas on how to put together a mixed herbal hanging basket, and I love hanging baskets because they take advantage of limited space. If you don't have a lot of ground space but you've got height, then you can secure these, you know, to a wall or a mount or something, and it just gives you another area to grow, and you'd be amazed at what you can grow in hanging baskets. Strawberries, tomatoes, like tumbling tomatoes, flowers, herbs, vegetables. You can grow peas in them, salad stuff. It's really endless as long as you get the right size hanging basket and you feed it regularly. Keep the water up to it because they do dry out quite quickly. You'll have beautiful plants and plants that you can harvest from and maybe grow a cat or two in, and use in your practice and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to run through the plants that I'm putting in my one and the uses for them. Now all the plants that I have chosen are edible, as well as the fact you can use them in your practice. So it's kind of twofold. You get more bang for your buck, I think. And just, you know, I'll run through some care tips and plant it up and all that. So please don't eat the pot. That's not good. Okay, so excuse me, cat is in a real mood today. Alrighty, so the first one that I'm growing is calendula. Now there's a little bit of confusion about this plant. Some people call it a marigold. It is sometimes known as a pot marigold, but it's a little bit different to the, you know, the classic kind of marigold plant. They are related, but slightly different variety. There is so many uses for calendula. They also come in a yellow one as well, which I have in the garden, but the orange ones are actually considered to be the most packed full of healing properties over the yellow ones, so I've heard. But they're completely edible. The petals, when you harvest flowers to eat, you don't want to eat like the stamens, like the bits that are right in the centre of the flower. You just want to eat the petals, because that bit's often, like that bit at the back's often really bitter and doesn't taste very nice. So you can put the flowers in salads. They're really, really nice in salads. You can use them to colour custards and things like that. If you make your own soup, like me, then they are about one of the very, very few flowers / herbs that won't lose their colour in soap. You can make an oil out of them. I like to use dried herbs for all my oils. So you can dry the flower heads and then make calendula oil, which is incredibly healing. It's really good for skin abrasions and sores and, you know, things like that. It's a really good skin conditioner. It's said to be protective. I've never used it for anything like that. I typically only use calendula in bath and body products and in salads and things, because it adds a nice kind of freshness and a nice colour to salads. So it grows really well in pots, and one of the other bonuses about calendula is that it self-seeds really, really readily. So when the seeds are ripe, and they're sort of an odd, funny shape, sort of an odd C-shaped seed, you can harvest the seed. So you can then harvest the seed for use in your magical workings as well, or you can keep them, and if you've got a little bit of garden or whatever, then you can sprinkle them and they grow really, really easily, or you can give them away or whatever. So calendula is a great herb to have in any garden, because it has so many benefits, and, you know, holistically and, you know, magically and everything else. I've been at the computer all day trying to print labels off, so pardon me, I'm a little bit brain frazzled. So the next one is actually one of my absolute favourites, and that is cat mint. Would you like some cat mint? I prefer this much, much more over catnip. I don't really like the smell of fresh catnip. So obviously catnip, all the same properties as catmint, all the same properties as catnip. You can use it in cat magic, obviously, or as an offering if the goddess Bast is your matron goddess. It attracts good spirits to your home if you have it hung up, in your home, and attracts good luck to your home. And it can be used in happiness types of spells, and it is really good at promoting happiness, and it's a really, really good herbal tea, a really good calming herbal tea that promotes tranquility, and it's a really good herbal tea perhaps to have before bed as well. I absolutely love it. It's got a really lovely smell. As the name suggests, it's slightly minty, but it's a very floral mint. It's not like peppermint. It's gorgeous, and it's got a silvery blue leaf, so it contrasts really well with other plants. Yeah, it's really gorgeous, and this will spill over the side of the pot, and it gets really pretty purple flowers that the bees absolutely love. So that's probably one of my very top, top 5 herbs. The next is sage. Now this is purple sage, because pots should have a lot of colour and a lot of contrasting in them. I don't like everything just to be like green or whatever. I like things to have a lot of interest. So this is edible. White sage, as far as I'm aware, you shouldn't eat, you shouldn't ingest. I read that on quite a few herbal sites. I've never eaten my white sage. If you have, then I'm quite happy to admit that I'm wrong, but I was always under the impression that white sage was not edible. And there's many different types of sage. You can get this purple sage, you can get just a common green sage, you can get sage I can't even remember the proper term for it now. It's two-toned. And they all do exactly the same thing. They all look a little bit different, so it's really up to you what you want to grow. Sage is quite slow growing, so it's quite good for a hanging pot or any pot, and it doesn't like things too wet. If you overwater your sage, you'll kill it, so you do have to keep that in mind. But we all know the properties of sage. It's cleansing. You can use it in smudge bundles. It's apparently a very good protection plant. I don't typically use sage for protection. I really only use it for cleansing and purification. But this is a particularly good one to grow, and it's quite an attractive plant as well. And it also gets really pretty purple flowers, and bees love purple, so it's a good one to have. And these are just my picks. You can grow anything in your pot. These are just ones that I've chosen. Sage also is one of the classic culinary herbs to have in stuffing and things like that for chicken. Sage and thyme, two that come to mind. So this one is marjoram, and it's a completely undervalued herb, I think, in the magical community. I don't see a whole bunch of people talking about it. But this again is edible. You'd have it in meat dishes and fish dishes. It is a very good protection plant. If you sprinkle it in each room of your house, it brings in really good solid protection into the home. It's another herb that promotes happiness. I haven't had it in a tea, so I can't tell you what it tastes like, but I do like to use it in cooking, and I killed my last one, so I'm hoping this one will provide me with a few years of harvesting. And it's also a really, really good money herb. It's got a really nice smell. I can just kind of describe it. Yeah, I don't know, it's got a slightly minty smell, I think, anyway. And it will spill over the sides as well, and it'll look really pretty. Actually don't know what colour it flowers, couldn't tell you, but sneezing cat over there, but yeah, completely undervalued herb, well worth growing in something like this. And the last one is these little violas, which are basically just miniature pansies. And these are a mixed lot. They're called penny lane. They're one of my favourite types of violas. There's going to be a scrap. it's all fun and games out here. So yeah, and these are edible. I like to have them in salads. You can put them in ice cubes, like fill up your ice cube trays with water and then put one of these in and freeze it. It's really nice for summer drinks. Excuse me. You can dry them flat, you know, do flour pressing and things like that. I like doing that with things like this because they're they do tend to dry really flat. You can get them in so many pretty colours. So I'm going to use a few of these just to add some colour, and they are really good at growing in pots as well. The best way to keep them looking really nice and really full and bushy is when they have finished flowering, like this one here is finished. Just nip off down at the base like that, and so the plant's not going to put its energy into producing seed, it'll put its energy into producing more blooms, so that way you keep your plants flowering for a really long period of time. Okay, so that's that. So your pot size is quite important because we're growing quite a few things in here. You need a reasonable sized pot. This is a 41 centimetre pot. They're actually got us on special at the warehouse actually for about $12 because this was getting up there in price, was about 16, so I was like, but it's a fairly decent size one. There are many different things that you can do, different ways of planting. I'll just quickly show you one that I have over here. This has just got violas in it, which actually have mildew on them at the moment. That's what all that white stuff is, but you can cut bits around the bottom and then plant around the bottom like that, and you get a really kind of bushy pot, which looks quite cool. I'll have to spray that with baking soda. But for today, we're just going to plant everything in the, you know, the pot at the top and let it spill over the sides. You need a good quality potting mix. I'm using this shrub and tub mix from my local garden shop, but I actually always mix my potting mix. Well, outside you really need a shrub and tub mix. Potting mix is a little bit different to an outdoor pot mix. So just if you're unsure, just ask when you're in, you know, at the plant shop, or look for like a shrub and tub mix or an outdoor pot mix. But I actually mix my mix with well-rotted horse manure that I get from the horse paddock, obviously for free. So you can see, I don't know, you should be able to see that. It just looks like compost, and that's what it is. It's been rotting down for quite a while, and it's just pure, rich compost. And I get this for free. Herbs like a lot of organic matter, so it's really good to mix a little bit of compost in with your shrub and tub mix. I like doing it because it makes my mix, my brought mix, go further. And I think the herbs really respond to it, and they really like it. They really love the rich organic matter, and they grow really lush and really healthy. Typically, if your plants are healthy, bugs will often leave them alone. Bugs will often attack sickly plants. I know that sounds strange, but that's often the case. So if you keep your plants really healthy, then you shouldn't have too many problems. And herbs they're pretty trouble-free, really. They don't often get attacked by pests and things like that. Yeah, so we're going to fill this up and get planting, and I will come back to you shortly. Okay, so I have probably about 3/4 filled this with my rotted horse compost, and you can see it's just like beautiful, rich dirt. I love this stuff. So one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't before is when you are potting up plants and you're using potting mix, shrub mix, even organic compost, try and do it outside if possible. If you have to do it inside, then make sure you wear gloves and actually wear a dust mask, because these mixes contain microorganisms, and they can actually cause a disease called Legionnaire's disease, which can be fatal, especially if you're already sick, if you've got compromised health, or if you're elderly, or in children. So never rip the bag open, always cut it open, and if it's really dry and dusty, put some water in the bag and moisten it down a bit. You don't want to be breathing in the fine particles. Honestly, we've had a big problem with it in my city over the last few years, and quite a few people have died from it, so be really careful. I always wear gloves when I'm handling any sort of compost, and I generally do wear a mask as well. So I'm not going to obviously be wearing one because I won't be able to talk today, but just bear that in mind. You can Google if you're not, if you're concerned about it, but just apply some caution because you don't want to be, getting sick and things like that. So I'm going to arrange my things that I want in here, and it's best to have the fucking neighbours' kids. I really want to move to the country. I've had a guts full of living in town. Okay, so you want to arrange your tall things at the back and just kind of place things and see how they feel. So I'm going to put these in, plant them up, and then I'm going to plant my violas sort of all around. So I want to create a slightly messy, cottagey kind of a look. I don't like things to be, too neat and uniform and all fancy schmancy. So like that, and then we'll fill this up and take them out of the pots, plant them, fill them up, and then we'll plant our other things, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done and share some tips and things like that to keep it looking healthy. Just another tip that I wanted to chuck in here: when you take your pots out of your plants out of the pots, and they're quite root bound like this, just really gently tease the roots out, because you want the roots to spread. Man, I'm getting all my words buggered up today. And you want the roots to, sink into the soil. If you don't loosen it up, sometimes they don't, and your plant will die because it won't be gaining any nutrients. So just tease them a little bit and help them along like that. Okay, so that's all planted, and now I'm going to slot in my mini pansies. So I know it looks like it's all sort of clumped in the middle at the moment, but you don't want to plant your herbs really close up to the side. You want them to have some room to creep out and spread out. If you plant them all hard along the edge, they're going to sulk and they're not going to grow all that well for you. They like to have a bit of room between their roots and the edge of the pot. And also, I should have mentioned before, bear in mind the height of your herbs that you're wanting to grow, and be realistic. You're not going to be able to grow mugwort in here. Mugwort gets absolutely massive. That great big herb down there, that's really tall, that's mugwort. It gets huge, and it's just about to flower. That needs a bloody good haircut. So, white sage, that's this plant here, that gets huge as well. So just look on the back of the pot and make sure that things are only going to grow to sort of 30-40 centimetres. You can't go growing trees and things in here. So I'm going to plant my other bits and pieces, and I will show you it all finished and hung up in a minute. So there we go. Now my line is sitting a bit wonky. Never mind. So yeah, it's all planted. It's pretty easy. I mean, you just, it comes down to personal preference really. What you want and what you think you'll use. But I think for something like this, it's good to incorporate plants that are culinary as well as magical. Well, all plants are magical. But plants that you can use in both ways, because if you've got limited space, then it means that you just get more money for your plants. You can use them in the kitchen, which means you can incorporate kitchen witchery and things like that, as well as using them in your practice, things that you've grown yourself. And yeah, it's just good all round. So I've just attached my quartz crystal out there just to kind of help things out a little bit. And this pot is down the side of my house actually, where a lot of my kitchen-y things are growing. I've got some salad stuff. Oh, you don't need to see all that. But yeah, just out here, so it gets a little bit of shade as well, which will help it along. We're well into autumn, midway through autumn now, so this will grow really well. This will grow all through winter fine. In fact, the pansies are more of a cold annual. They don't like a lot of heat. So I think it looks really gorgeous actually. I'm really pleased with how it's all come together, and And okay, now care. So you need to keep it watered. You don't want to keep it absolutely sodden because you'll knock your sage off if you do that. So just keep it watered every day. Sometimes it's a real pain in the ass living by a school. Anyway, so yeah, just feel the soil. If it's dry, give it a water. If your plants are wilting, then you know you're going to have to water it pretty quick, smart. But don't keep it absolutely waterlogged. And you'll want to liquid feed it probably every couple of weeks. It'll be alright for about a month since you've just planted it. Potty mix and whatnot have got long... I've got fertilisers, you know, long lasting fertilisers in them, but to keep them really lush you want to liquid feed them, and you can just buy that at the plant shop, or you can make your own. There's many, you can Google that. I won't go into all that in this video, but yeah, give them a bit of a liquid water with some stuff and they'll grow really well for you. And keep picking them. Herbs perform best when they're picked. If you just let them grow and don't harvest them, then they get woody and they get all yucky. So keep them fresh and keep them picked. Pull the heads off your little pansies if you choose to plant them. And yeah, they'll reward you for many months with colour and delights and all things good. Okay, so I'm going, and I'll see you later. Bye.